The rain had been falling for 3 days straight, the kind of Seattle December rain that soaks through jackets and secrets alike. Emily Harper pulled into the driveway at 8:47 p.m., headlights cutting through the downpour. She killed the engine but didn't move. Something felt wrong. The porch light was off. Jake always left it on when he knew she'd be late. Max wasn't barking at the door. Just silence, thick and waiting. She finally stepped out, umbrella forgotten in the passenger seat. Cold water slid under her collar as she approached the house. Through the living room window she saw the blue flicker of the television, but no one was on the couch. The light upstairs was on. Bedroom light. Too early for bed. Her key turned in the lock with a soft, almost apologetic click. Inside, the air smelled different. Sarah's perfume, the expensive one with notes of bergamot and vanilla that Emily had complimented last month. A faint trace of it lingered near the staircase, as though someone had paused there, breathing. Jake, her voice sounded small. No answer. She climbed the stairs slowly, each step creaking like a warning. At the top, the bedroom door was cracked open, just enough for a slice of warm light to spill across the hallway carpet. She heard it then, a low murmur. 2 voices. 1 male. 1 female. Too soft to make out words, but the rhythm was intimate, conspiratorial. Emily's pulse hammered in her ears. She pressed her palm against the door, easing it open another inch. Jake sat on the edge of their bed, shirt untucked, hair mussed. Sarah stood between his knees, her hands on his shoulders, forehead resting against his. They weren't kissing. They were simply existing together, in the space that had always belonged to Emily and Jake. Sarah spoke first, barely above a whisper. We have to stop. She's going to figure it out. Jake's fingers tightened on Sarah's waist. She won't. She trusts me. Emily's breath caught. The words landed like ice water down her spine. She pushed the door all the way open. They froze. Sarah's hands dropped. Jake's face drained of color so fast it looked like someone had pulled a plug. Emily didn't scream. She didn't cry. She just stood there, dripping rain onto the carpet, staring at the 2 people she had loved most in the world. How long? Her voice was calm. Too calm. Sarah opened her mouth, closed it again. Since August, Jake said quietly. The weekend you went to Portland for the conference. 5 months. 5 months of smiles across the dinner table, of I love you texts, of sex in this very bed after Sarah had left her scent on his skin. Emily turned without a word and walked downstairs. Behind her, she heard Jake call her name once, weakly. She didn't stop. In the kitchen she opened the wine fridge, pulled out the bottle of Cabernet they'd bought on their last anniversary, and poured a glass with shaking hands. Then she poured a second glass. Then she threw both of them against the tile floor. The sound was satisfying. Violent. Shards glittered under the recessed lights like broken promises. Here are a few moments that captured the tension of that night, and the aftermath, when everything shattered. The days that followed were a slow descent. Anonymous texts began arriving on Emily's phone 2 nights later. No number, just blocked caller ID. You should check his gym bag. Ask him about the cabin key. She still has your necklace. Emily ignored them at first. Probably some cruel prank from a mutual friend who'd heard whispers. But the messages kept coming, each one more specific. On the 4th night she found Jake's old gym bag in the garage. Tucked inside the side pocket was a single hotel key card. No logo. Just a white card with a handwritten room number, 214. And on the back, in Sarah's looping handwriting, "Next time we don't wait 3 weeks." Emily sat on the cold concrete floor of the garage until 3 a.m., the keycard pressed between her fingers like a razor. She didn't confront Jake right away. Instead she started watching. Really watching. She noticed the new habit he'd developed, leaving his phone face down on the counter whenever he came home. She noticed the way he always angled his body to block her view of the screen when notifications came in. She noticed the faint red mark on his neck one morning, too high for a shirt collar to hide completely. And then there was the night she pretended to be asleep. Around 1:17 a.m. Jake slipped out of bed. She heard him pad downstairs, the soft creak of the back door, the muted click of the latch. She waited 5 minutes, then followed. He stood at the edge of the backyard, under the big cedar, speaking quietly into his phone. The rain had stopped, but fog hung low, diffusing the streetlight into a sickly yellow halo. Emily watched from the kitchen window, heart slamming against her ribs. He wasn't alone. A figure emerged from the shadows near the fence, hood up, moving carefully across the wet grass. Female. The way she moved, the slight sway of hips, was unmistakable. Sarah. They didn't touch. They just stood close, heads bent together, speaking in murmurs that the fog swallowed. Then Sarah handed him something small. A flash drive, a note Emily couldn't tell. Jake slipped it into his pocket and glanced back at the house straight at the kitchen window. Emily dropped to the floor, heart in her throat. He couldn't have seen her. The lights were off. Still, she stayed on the tile for almost 20 minutes, listening to the back door open again, his footsteps on the stairs, the mattress dipping as he returned to bed. He smelled of rain and guilt. The next morning he kissed her forehead before leaving for work. "Love you," he said, like nothing had changed. Emily smiled. "Love you too." But inside, something had hardened into a cold, sharp point. She began collecting evidence. Screenshots. Timestamps. The hotel keycard. The perfume on his collar. The late-night texts she finally unlocked when he left his phone charging one Saturday morning. The final piece came on New Year's Eve. Sarah had moved to Portland 3 weeks earlier, supposedly for a new job. Emily had believed it. Everyone had. Until she found the email. Jake had forgotten to log out of his account on the shared iPad. Tucked in the trash folder was a chain of messages between him and Sarah dated just 6 days ago. "Can't stop thinking about last night." "I know." "Me neither." "When can I see you again?" "Soon." She's starting to suspect something. "We have to be careful." And the last one, from Sarah, "She's smarter than you think, Jake. If she ever finds out the whole truth, we're both finished." Emily stared at the screen until the words blurred. The whole truth. What whole truth? She closed the iPad, hands steady now. Outside, the neighborhood was quiet. Christmas lights still blinked on houses up and down the street. Somewhere nearby, a dog barked once. Emily stood up, walked to the window, and looked out at the dark yard where she had seen them standing together just nights before. A new message lit up her own phone. Blocked number again. Ask him about the safety deposit box. Box 417. First Interstate Bank. You'll want to see what's inside. Emily deleted the message. Then she opened her laptop and began searching for divorce lawyers. She wasn't going to scream. She wasn't going to cry. She was going to wait. Because the most dangerous thing about betrayal isn't the moment it's discovered. It's what comes after when the person who was betrayed finally decides how the story ends. And Emily was just getting started. Here are glimpses of the shadows that followed her, and the nights she spent alone, piecing it together. The truth was still coming. And when it arrived, it would arrive quietly. Like rain on a dark window. Unstoppable. Inevitable.